Welcome to this channel, and in this video we are going to look at how to determine the equation of the tangent to a curve at a particular point. So first of all, let's understand what a tangent is. Considering the curve, right? Let's consider this curve right now, and then you have a line that touches this curve at a particular point a comma b, where a and b are constants, right? So you just have a line. So this is a tangent, and the point of contact with the curve is known as the point of tangency, right? So a tangent is basically a line that touches a curve at only one point without what crossing it. So how do we determine the equation of the tangent? Remember, this is a line, and if you've done coordinate geometry, you would know that when we extend this, we can actually find the slope. We extend this, we can actually find the slope, and then this vertical part is the change in y and then change in x, and it's represented by m, change in y over what, change in x, which is the slope, or we could call it the gradient. And all this is in accordance with what general form, y equal to mx plus c, which is the general equation of the line. So how do we determine this equation? Right, so let's say we are given this question now, and the question says, given the curve y equals to 3 plus 2x negative 4x squared, determine the equation of the tangent to the curve at negative 2 comma negative 17, right? So this is basically a point that lies on the curve. So what's the tangent? So what you simply do, the first step is to first of all differentiate the function, and in this case is 3 positive 2x negative 4x squared, right? Please, in order to do this, you should be able to know how to differentiate a function, right? And if you are not able to, please ensure you watched my video on derivatives. That's part 1, so that you understand the principles behind all this. So in this case, differential of a constant is 0. We differentiate this is 0, then this is 2x to the power 1. 1 comes down, right? So that will be 2x to the power what? 1 minus 1, which is 2x to the power 0, which is what? 2. And then negative, the 2 comes down, right? So that would be 4 times 2, which is 8. That will be 8x to the power 2 minus 1. So what are we now going to have? 2 minus 8x. So this is simply the gradient. Are you following? So this is the gradient expression, 2 negative 8x for all x. But in this case, what's the value of x? It's negative 2. What's the value of y? Negative 17. So what you simply do is, anywhere you have x, substitute negative 2, so that you get the gradient at that point, which is negative 2. That will be 2 negative 8 into negative 2. And negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. So that's 2 plus 16, which is what? 18. So that means the gradient is what? 18, which is what? M. Right? And then remember, from what I illustrated earlier, I said that m is equal to the change in y over the change in s. And if we go further to simplify this fact that m is equal to the change in y over change in x, this leads to the equation of the line, which is the equation of the tangent. So change in y is simply what? Y minus yo, where yo is the y coordinate, over x minus x. So this x, yo, their values based on that particular point you are given, and then you substitute. So in this case, m is 18. So 18 is equal to what? Y minus, what is yo in this question? Yo is minus 17. Remember, this is the xy coordinates. So this is x, so this is yo. So that will be y negative, be very careful with your signs. That will be y negative negative 17 over x negative negative 2. Right? That's x minus x, so which is negative 2. So with that, 18 will be equal to negative negative is positive, so that will be y plus 17 over negative negative is positive, so that will be x plus 2, and then you cross multiply, multiplying through, you're going to have 18 into x plus 2 is equal to y plus 17, and then opening the bracket, you're going to have 18x because 18 times x 18x, and then 18 times 2 is 36 equal to y plus 17. subtract 17 from both sides, you have 18x plus 36 negative 17 is equal to y plus 17 negative 17. So this goes and you're left with 18x plus 19 is equal to y. So you could write it this way, or y equals 18x plus 19. So this is the equation of the line that will be plotted, such that what happens, first of all, it passes through exactly one point, which is negative 2 comma negative 17 for the curve y equal to 3 plus 2x minus 4x squared. So with what I just taught, I want you to be able to determine the equation of the tangent of this curve. So let's say I'm given this curve now, y equals x cubed plus x squared minus 8x plus 2, and we are asked to determine the equation of the tangent to the curve at x equal to 1. What do you simply do? Remember that m is equal to what? Y minus yo over x minus xo. And our xo is 1 because this is the x coordinate. This is the point at x equal to 1. But yo wasn't given. So how do you get yo? By simply substituting 1 into the function. The x is the input, y is the output. So anywhere we see x, we substitute what? 1. So that will be y will be equal to 1 cubed plus 1 squared negative 8 plus 2. And then 1 cube is, yeah, everything is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. That will be 2 negative 8 plus 2. And 2 negative 8 is negative 6, right? And negative 6 plus 2 is what? Negative 4. So we could simply represent the coordinate as what? 1 comma negative 4. So respectively, this is xo and then this is yo, right? And then what's the gradient? With what I just taught, we have x cubed plus x squared negative 8x plus 2. So the 3 comes down, right? So it becomes 3x to the power 3 minus 1 plus 2x to the power 2 minus 1 negative 8x to the power 1 minus 1, right? Because so just one out there. And then remember, the differential of a constant is 0, right? So what we basically have is 3x squared positive 2x negative 8, because x reached power 0 where x is not equal to 0 is what? 1, right? So this is basically the dy dx, which is the m. But in this case, what is x? Is what? 1. So anywhere you see x, substitute 1. So what's that going to be? 3 into 1 squared plus 2 into 1 negative 8, and then 3 into 1 squared is 3, 2 into 1 is 2, that will be 3 plus 2 negative 8, and 3 plus 2 is what? 5 minus 8, that is negative 3. So this is your m. M is negative 3, which is a gradient at x equal to 1. Then using the system, m is equal to y minus yo over x minus xo. Since m is negative 3, we substitute, and that'll be y negative. What is yo? Yo is what? Negative 4. That's the y coordinate, y output. So that'll be y negative negative 4 over x minus, what is the xo? So 1, because that was the x input. So that'll be what? X minus 1. And then multiplying through, that'll be negative 3 into x negative 1 is equal to what? Negative negative is positive. So that'll be what? Y plus 4. Then on expansion, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3 is equal to y plus 4. Right, so the positive 4 can move to the left and becomes 3x. That's like subtracting 4 from both sides. And that'll be y plus 4 negative 4. And this goes. And then you have 3x negative 1 equal to y. And then that's still same as y equal to negative 3x negative 1. And this is the required equation. This is the equation of the tangent that when plotted, it passes through x cubed plus x squared negative 8x plus 2 at just one point, which is what? 1 comma negative 4, right? So what I just explained, I want you to also go further to be able to solve a question like this. So let's say you are given this equation, x squared y plus y cubed x plus 3x negative 13 equal to 0. So if you look at this carefully and you are asked, this is the equation of a curve, and you're asked to determine the equation of the tangent to the curve at 1, 2. That's This is the XO, this is the YO. Simple. What are you going to do? You first of all differentiate, and this requires implicit differentiation because you could see expressions here that is a mixture of X and Y. And the simple step towards it is that what you simply do is, looking at what you have, you could start differentiating according to X, right? If you start differentiating according to X, if you differentiate X squared, what happens? It's going to give you what? 2X. So if you're differentiating according to X, any other thing apart from X will be treated as a constant. So if you differentiate X squared, the 2 comes down, right? So it becomes 2xy plus. Then if you differentiate according to Y, anything that doesn't have Y in it is treated as a constant, right? So X squared is treated as a constant, and the highest power of Y here is what? 1. So the 1 comes down, right? So if the 1 comes down, you have 1y to the power what? 1 minus 1, which is y to the power 0. Are you following? Y to the power 0 is what? 1. And then 1 times this x squared, which was acting as a constant. Are you following? And anytime you now differentiate according to x, to y, sorry, you attach what? dy dx. Do you understand? And then you move to the next one. You have y cube x. If you differentiate according to x, what happens? What's the highest power of x? 1. So if you differentiate x to the power 1, is it not 1? So you just be left with y cube. Because 1 comes down, it becomes x to the power 1 minus 1, which is 1. And then y cube, which does not contain x, acts like a constant. Then if you differentiate with respect to y, according to y, so 3 comes down, right? If you differentiate y cube, 3 comes down, it becomes 3y to the power 3 minus 1, which is 3y squared. And x, which doesn't contain y in any way, acts like a constant, so it just comes down. That will be 3y squared x. And then positive 3x, we differentiate 3x is like 3x to the power 1. 1 comes down. What happens is 3 times x to the power what? 1 minus 1, which is 3x to the power 0, which is 3. And then remember that the differential of that when we are differentiating according to y in this case, when we got 3y squared, you attach what? dy dx. And then differential of a constant, in this case negative 13 is what? 0. So we don't care about that, and then all of this is equal to 0, right? So we factor out dy dx, factor out stuff that contain it. So x squared, right, and positive 3y squared x, and then the other stuff, that's 2xy plus y cubed plus 3 equal to 0. So move everything that doesn't contain dy dx to the right hand side. So that's dy dx into x squared plus 3y squared x is equal to negative 2xy, negative y cubed, negative 3. Right? So dy dx is equal to negative 2xy, negative y cubed, negative 3. All over, we are now dividing through by the coefficient of dy dx. All over what? X squared plus 3y squared x. And remember that our x o's and y o's, what are they? 1 and 2. So anywhere you see x, substitute 1. Anywhere you see y, substitute 2. You are substituting into the gradient form. Right? So that means that dy dx, which is m, is equal to negative 2 into 1 into 2 minus 2 to the power 3 minus 3 over 1 squared plus 3 into 2 squared into 1, right? So what's that now going to give us? That means that m is negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Then negative 2 to the power 3 is 8, because that's 2 times 2 times 2, that's negative 8, negative 3. All over 1 squared is what? 1 plus 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is what? 12 times 1, which is 12. Right? So basically we could say that m is what? Negative 4, negative 8 is negative 12, negative 3, that's negative 15 over 13, because 1 plus 12 is what? 13. So using the general form I've given to you, so that m is equal to what? Y minus yo over x minus xo. We can therefore say that negative 15 over 13 is equal to y minus what's yo? Remember is what? 2, because it says at 1 comma 2. So that will be what? Y minus 2 over x minus, what is xo? 1. That was the x input. It says at 1 comma 2. xo is 1, right? So minus 1. Then multiplying through this and this, that will be negative 15 into x negative 1 is equal to 13 into y negative 2. And then on expansion, negative 15 times x is what? Negative 15x, and then negative 15 times negative 1 is positive 15, right? And 13 times y is 13y, and 13 times negative 2 is negative 26, right? So we could then have, adding 26 to both sides, we have 15x plus 15 is equal to, adding 26 to both sides is equal to 13y negative 26 plus 26, and then this goes, that will be negative 15x, 15 plus 26 is what? 41. So that negative 15x plus 41 is equal to what? 13y. Right? So we could write it this way, we could leave it this way, 13y equal to negative 15x plus 41. This is okay. Or we could move everything to the left, and that becomes 13y. When this moves over, it becomes positive 15x. And when this moves over, it becomes negative 41 equal to 0. And this is the equation of the tangent to the curve. What's the curve? X squared y plus y cube x plus 3x negative 13, passing through the point 1, 2. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you learned a lot, and I hope, and I know that when you take the exam you would write well, and any exam that comes up you'll be able to apply what you've learned to be able to answer it correctly. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.